Do you also get tired of always using a hamburger menu for your projects? Well, you don't have to. Maybe a horizontal scrolling menu can be a great solution. Let me show you some examples. The first example is a great website called CSS Tricks. I really love this website. And as you can see, if you make the screen smaller and even smaller, so for mobile devices you will see it creates a horizontal menu. This is great because you don't have that many items. I would say if you got more than 8 items, I wouldn't apply a horizontal menu because it's too much scrolling on mobile. But for this amount of items, it's great. Another good example is the Smashing Magazine website. They use horizontal scrolling for their sub-menu where they show their categories. And as you can see, even on desktop, it's already scrolling. So if I even make it smaller, you can see you can scroll through a lot of items. So let me show you how to code a horizontal scrolling menu like this one. As you can see, when I make my screen smaller, you have the scroll bar, and I even added on the right side a gradient, so it indicates there are more items that you can scroll. And as a little bonus, I even added a focus on page reload to the current page. So, for example, I go back to home, and when I reload the page now, it automatically focuses on guides. So let's get started with HTML. The HTML is going to be a piece of cake. We just have to create a nav with a ULLE structure. So we start with the nav and then the UL to show it's a list of items, an LE. We add a element for the link. I just use hashtag in this example because I don't have a real URL. And then we repeat this to make a real good example. So let's see, services, our company, articles, videos, and contact. A thing I really like to do is to use the area current page as a selector for the current page instead of using a class with active or selected. So I really prefer using area current because you also need this for proper accessibility. This is the HTML. So we switch now to CSS, where we start with adding a class to the nav element. So let's call the class navigation, how original. Then navigation UL, navigation ULI, navigation ULA. Then let's make it horizontal, so display flex. I see it's not working. Let's check the HTML. Oops, forgot to applying the class navigation to the nav element. So now it's working. Let's disable those list item styles. So list style none. Then we have to create a gap. Let's give the links some color, some background color, some padding, as you can see the padding is not completely working, and this is looking weird, our company, so we have to apply display block. To fix this, I will zoom this a little bit out. Let's disable the underline, text decoration none, and adding some border radius on a button. I really love border radius on a button, looks great. Let's apply an hover and a focus and a current state. So let's see, hover, also using this for the focus. So for example, it's going to white and then the color is black. Now we have to create a current state. In the HTML, I told you we apply this on the A with area current page, which is better for accessibility. So let's apply that one. And then you can eventually use the same selector. If we want, we can also give it another style. In this case, I'm lazy, so we can do this, for example. And as you can see, video is selected. Maybe we apply a nice transition. This transition, background, color, and then 300 milliseconds or 0.3 seconds. This looks good, but doesn't make it an horizontal scrolling menu. So let's add overflow X auto, which says if my menu is bigger than my screen, it will add an horizontal scroll bar. This looks good. As you can see, it bugs at our company. A fix for this is to force every text in an A element on one line. You can do that with white space, no wrap. What I really like to do is to indicate that there is more. You can see on a mobile device when you, for example, you got this width, and on a mobile device it doesn't show the horizontal scroll bar. So you can think, oh, there are only 4 items. That's why I really like to add a gradient on the end to indicate that there's more to show. We can create it by using a pseudo on the UL. So create after, and then content, position absolute, the height is 100%, with let's see 50. Let's add a background to test it. Doesn't show within the container, so we have to apply position relative to this container. Let's position it on the right side. And now we can apply a gradient by using background linear gradient. Let's remove the red test color. And we want the gradient to go to the right. And then we apply the color. In this case, I use the same background color as the body. I'm a little bit lazy, so let's copy paste this and then show the color at 100%. Ta-da! As you can see, you got a nice looking gradient. And an usability thing is if you hover here to the gradient, it doesn't work. But we can fix that by applying pointer events none. And when I hover now at the end at contact, it will still work when I hover or click on it. The last but not the least CSS thing we are going to do is to style the horizontal bar. It looks horrible now on desktop. You won't see this on mobile. And nowadays it's very easy to style the horizontal bar. So let's go to the UL itself. We use the property scroll bar color. And then first you can give the bar itself a color, I mean the scrolling bar. So let's give it light gray, and then I prefer to have the background transparent. And voila, it looks really good. Another thing I like to do is to make the scroll bar a little more subtle. So let's use the scroll bar with property, and then we can set it to thin. And now it's a little bit smaller than before. It's just a preference. For the perfection, I prefer to have the same padding here than between the items. So I will also apply, for example, padding 4 pixels. And yes, this is the last thing to have a good looking horizontal scroll bar. The last thing we are going to do is add a simple line of JavaScript code to automatically select the current page. We do that by going back to the HTML. Then we are going to create a script. Then we are going to have a selector. In this case, we are going to select the navigation. Of course, it's a class. And then we are not just selecting the navigation element, but the area current page attribute. So area current page. Then it has to scroll to the current page when it's into view. So we are going to scroll into view, and then we have to set it to inline center. Whoops. And now I will make it a little bit smaller. When I refresh the page, it automatically scrolls to video, which is in this case the current page. I really hope you learned something from this video. Do you struggle with something in CSS? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.